Welcome to the Law and Order podcast, a show about why games matter and how they shape our lives. I'm James Padley, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host, Amrit Eldridge. How you doing, my friend?
James, it's exceptional to be in your company, as always.
You're so polite. It's very sweet.
It's just
No wonder all the parents and the mums love you.
They do, actually. That was always a thing when I was growing up. I was like, I will be best friends with your mum. Not in a weird way. No. In terms of like, I'll talk to you about anything. I'll wash the dishes,
In an appropriate way that makes them go, oh, Amrit is such a nice young man.
Such a nice.
Let's bring him back. I don't know why I'm giving my parents like elderly voices, but sure.
I actually had a wedding this week where I spent the majority of the early part of the evening not talking to the bride and groom, but talking to the groom's mother. And being like, oh, Amrit, it's so nice to see you. I still remember at the 21st how you stayed back and washed the dishes. And I was like, wow.
See? It made an impression.
I was really laying it on thick.
Yeah, that is unreal.
Anyway, that aside, mate, that's been your highlight of the week.
One of my highlights of this week has been you and me finishing Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Big air quotes for finishing.
Yes, big air quotes for finishing. We obviously still have the DLC to do, and there are heaps of alternate endings. So we've made like a save file that we can go back and then do some of the alternate endings to see what they were.
So much to explore.
But yeah, we did the ending with Pan Am and the Aldecados, I believe they're called.
Yes.
So that was really fun.
So fun.
Yeah, really, really enjoyed that. What about yourself?
Oh, I mean, I was definitely not going to say seeing you was a highlight, so this is a little bit awkward.
Rude. So rude.
You know what we're saying about the mums? No, it's all that. It's all
Never
a lie.
applied. Oh, so you were just there to hang out with the mums. There you go. Right.
No, that was definitely a highlight. Love that, and I think it's cool. Last episode, talking about FOMO and learning to trust your taste. I would say that Cyberpunk, loved it, and for me, it was a beautiful game. It made me feel like really fun to explore it and everything like that. So
yeah, and it was a game that for me didn't hit on the first time. Like I tried it, bounced off it, came back, and I think a large part of that was because I felt really overwhelmed. I didn't know how I wanted to approach the game because there were so many different ways that you could play.
Yeah.
Like there are certain games where skill trees are very linear and it's like I can choose what skills I want to unlock, but I'm going to unlock all the skills.
Yes.
And that was very much, no, you get some of the skills and you will choose how you want to do that. And I was like, and I just got like decision fatigue and bounced off. And then playing that together, coming up with the idea of what a really cool build will be.
Yeah.
I think is what really helped me get into it.
Yeah, love that.
Which is, I guess, kind of what we're talking about today, because that was too overwhelming for me, and it was problematic because it was a game that I knew I would enjoy. It's made by CD Projekt Red, who made The Witcher, and we friggin' love The Witcher.
Yep.
But yeah, it was just like I don't know how to approach this without looking everything up and ruining it for myself, because I got that decision paralysis of I want to play this game. I want to have a good build.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was a real problem for me.
Yeah. So like problems and solving problems is what I'm so excited to talk about this episode. And I actually want to start with it's sort of this idea got sparked by a memory I had. I was just like thinking about games earlier this week, and then I just had this vivid memory. I was like, oh, I remember this moment. That really, really stuck with me. It would have been about 6 years ago. I was playing Skyrim with a friend who had never played before, never played Skyrim, wanted to start a playthrough. So I was like, I will obviously come along for this ride and play for the 400th time. And for those who've played Skyrim, the scene I'm talking about and where this took place is College of Winterhold and Carno, Eye of Magnus. It's a bit of a boss fight, and this character is drawing power from this eye. We've just gone and picked up this staff. So you've got the Staff of Magnus, Eye of Magnus, and there's a bit of a puzzle to solve. You've got to figure out, how can I defeat him? Because he's drawing power from this object, and if you just attack him with any spells, weapons, whatever, you can't do any damage.
Yeah.
So it's a puzzle to solve. And I was sitting there, and my friend was trying to figure out, and to her credit, she was like, I don't want any help. She's like, leave it to me. This is my puzzle solve. I'm going to do it. And 10 minutes ticked by, not much was happening, just sort of kept trying to sort of use the same spells, do the same damage. Nothing was happening. 20 minutes ticked by, it's just still going on, no solution's been found. And I'm sort of sitting there and I realize, and I'm thinking, I'm like, for me, the solution to this and how to solve this is staring me in the face.
So obvious.
It's so obvious. It's as clear as day. Or even just trying different things. There's literally an NPC who's saying he's drawing power from the orb. We have to stop him. And then like a minute later, he's drawing power from the orb.
Maybe we should do something about that orb.
Remember that staff we just picked up? But the point that I came to and I realized, I was like, wow, this is something that I have played a lot of games. My friend hadn't played as many games.
Yeah.
And so for me, this form of problem solving is almost second nature. And I sort of realized, I was like, wow. And it was this really positive thing where I thought, the games that I've played have given me this amazing ability to problem solve, to think critically, to think creatively, to get around obstacles, both in games but outside. And it was this huge light bulb moment where I sort of realized, wow, the games that I have played have had such a positive impact on me. And it was so cool. And I thought about that moment this week and I was like, yeah, this is, with doing this podcast, this is like an amazing, to try and help people realize just the value of the games they played and appreciate what they played more. And so, yeah, I am just really excited to talk about how games have made me a better problem solver.
I like it. Games as problem-solving systems.
Yeah.
I think it's 100% accurate because games, like you're constantly putting in feedback and getting feedback in return.
Yep.
I completely agree with this. I can't think of a specific incident where I've been watching someone else. I'm certain that there have been.
Probably every time you hand me the control when we play Cyberpunk.
No, but I think then it's not for you, but I was going back to COVID.
Yep.
And my wife Amelia, she didn't play video games growing up, other than a couple of basic games when she was a little kid, you know, and then didn't touch it for well over a decade.
Yeah.
And she got really into Fall Guys during COVID.
Yeah,
which was so much fun.
So much fun.
And by the end, she was awesome at it, but it was really difficult initially watching her play because it was such a foreign system to her in terms of using the right control stick to move the camera. And, you know, all of that stuff is just muscle memory for us.
Yep.
And I think this is different to what you're talking about. What I'm talking about is more of a skill issue or a familiarity issue because we've been playing games for so long that we take this stuff for granted now.
Yes.
You're talking more about problem solving specifically.
Yes. Yeah.
Which for me is more aligned with the Zelda games.
Yeah.
Like all the Zelda games, especially the traditional Zelda games, have dungeons filled with puzzles that you have to solve. And I think that, for me, is one of the core series that has really, really instilled gaming problem solving so that when you see problems appear or puzzles appear in later games, you instinctively go, oh, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Like you don't even though they've put this in as a puzzle for you, I go, I already know how to solve this.
Yeah.
Because I've been trained over decades that this is what you do when you encounter this type of problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's probably important to differentiate straight out of the gate that we're not talking about skill-based issues.
Absolutely.
Which is why I made no comment when you were talking about Cyberpunk and me watching you. You know, it's about the puzzle making itself.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a wonderful element of games that I think we can often almost take for granted. And so hopefully as we unpeel this onion of problem solving, you begin to realize that the games that you've played, like not only are they fun, but they've turned you into an absolute problem-solving weapon.
Oh, yeah.
So before we, I guess, dive into that too much, let's just have a bit of a chat about like what is problem-solving? Like for you, what is problem-solving? Why does it matter?
I think for me, problem-solving, if you distill it into its most simple form, is you've come across some kind of problem, obstacle, whatever.
Yep.
And you've gone, okay, this isn't ideal.
Yep.
Or I can't get past this point unless I fix something. And so you go, here's the problem. What can I possibly do? Logically thinking about it, trying a couple of different things.
Yep.
And ideally coming up with the solution for it.
It's cool because you talk about, how logically it's about trying to sort of think your way through, come up with steps. And it's almost like there are different forms of problem solving, right? Like, first of all, not every obstacle is the same. And so that means that the way that we have to try and solve the problem is different, right? You can have a logical way to solve a problem. It could be something more creative, right? You've got to think, I've got to come up with a really creative solution, to get around this.
And that's it, because every problem's not the same, but every solution is going to be different as well.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's like, cool, I've got time to sit down and really work and really think through this problem. But sometimes it can be really fast. It's like, I've got a lot of stuff coming at me, and I've got to make decisions like really quickly and really fast paced. So earlier today, for a great example of that is soccer refereeing, which I've spoken about how I've gotten back into. And it's like, that's sort of like I've got to make quick decisions and fast decisions. Or if something happens and I've got to think, okay, I've got to talk to these players and sort of like figure out essentially the best decision and do it as quickly as possible. It's cool. It's cool how there are so many different angles of it.
Yeah, and that's a much more complex problem. Whereas you can look at something more basic in the real world, which is like, I am in the kitchen making dinner and I smashed a plate.
Yeah.
This is a problem. I obviously can't keep banging around here barefoot. Otherwise, I'm going to cut my foot open.
Yeah.
The solution is going to be a pretty simple one.
Yes.
But it's going to be, I'm going to get the dustpan and I'm going to clean this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you still go, here's a problem. What is my solution going to be?
Yeah.
Of course, smashing a plate probably isn't going to be the first time you've ever smashed a plate. So you already know the solution.
Yeah. Why are you smashing plates, mate?
Things get crazy in the kitchen.
Plates don't grow on trees, James.
Don't break the good china.
Well, I've had enough of you smashing plates.
We busted out the good china for you and everything. Did you have grandparents that would refer to plates as china?
I think my favorite thing that my grandmother still does is she still every once every 6 months, she will tell me that she's like, I polished the silverware. I hate polishing the silverware, but I did it. And I'm like, Gram, the silverware, it sits in like some cupboard, you never use it. Why are you polishing it? No, it needs to be polished.
Time for my 6-monthly, my biannually polishing of, I was going to say cutlery, but that's even less fancy. Yeah. The silverware.
Oh, the silverware.
The silverware and china. My grandpa used to call people china, as a term of endearment, because they're like precious.
That's so precious.
Like, G'day, China. How you doing?
Yeah, I value you as much as I value my plates.
My fine, fine plates.
And now you're still dropping it.
We've cycled it back to the blame game. But I guess when it comes to problem solving, there's obviously, as you said, a variety of different problems that we can solve.
Yes.
The more logical, the more creative.
Yep.
And some are more structured than others, looking at data, recognizing repeated patterns, whatever it might be. Creative is much more about reframing, and that's going to be much more free-flowing, like you and refereeing.
Yes. Yep.
Why is this so important, I guess, in day-to-day life?
Yeah, for me, I think what I've realized is that I would say I'm a very good problem solver.
Yeah.
I think it helps me so much because I think life is there's always obstacles. And if you almost now, I think it's almost like life is the obstacles is how I look at it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, instead of seeing an obstacle and being like, oh, no, I'm mad, there's an obstacle, this is annoying. I'm like, well, life is literally obstacles and they're puzzles to solve and problems to solve and try and get around them. And just absolutely anything and everything, whether you're thinking about your career, whether you're thinking about really big decisions or just day to day in terms of trying to think, cool, like how do I get the most out of my day? How do I enjoy my life? If an obstacle comes up, how can I get around this with, the best possible emotion and the best possible feeling?
So a huge part of it is about staying calm, building resilience, all that sort of stuff, learning to compromise.
Yeah. Just and always just basically creating outcomes that you like or being happy or comfortable when, there are outcomes that you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's so important. What about you? What about yourself?
For me, I was really interested to reflect on when you first started solving puzzles in games. Were there particular early games that got you into a space where you're like, yeah, I feel really confident solving these puzzles or getting into this headspace? Yeah,
I think so. PS1, first console, and games like sort of like level-based games is what I call them. So things like Tony Hawk Pro Skater or Cool Borders 3, where on each level you're trying to get as many points as possible, and you're trying to do the run in the best possible way that's going to maximize your points. So like Cool Borders 3, I'm like, okay, there are there are like 6 jumps or 4 things that I can grind on. It's like, well, what tricks am I going to try and attempt on each jump to try and maximize how many points I can get? And so much of like that rinse and repeat and sort of that almost like that was like that tactical, logical problem solving that we're thinking about. It's okay, here are the number of opportunities that I can get points. What are the tricks that I can use to get me the most points? How can I try and essentially like create the best possible run? And I remember as a kid, I loved that. I absolutely loved that. Sort of, you do it once and I'll be like, oh, like 8,000 points. It's like, I've got like 9,000 is what I'm trying to get. How can I like tack on that extra 1,000? It was this really kind of cool, like, okay, it's like, this is a puzzle that I'm trying to solve. But it was awesome because it was so fun, but it wasn't like a traditional puzzle in the sense, like, you wouldn't think that like, playing a game and going down a ski run is that. But yeah, that's what it was.
Well, because you're talking about logical puzzles and how that's slightly like it fits within the logical realm, but it's also kind of slightly different because it's more fluid within the gaming landscape.
Yep.
I think for me, a lot of the logical problem-solving games that I started playing initially were a little bit more linear and a little bit more restrictive than a Tony Hawk.
Yep.
I'm thinking games like Yoshi's Cookie on the Game Boy, which was very similar to like Tetris. It's all about puzzle matching and block matching and stuff like that. Pokemon Puzzle League on the Nintendo 64.
Cool.
Elite game.
Yeah.
Severely underrated game.
Yeah.
With the Pokemon IP slapped on it. Really, really fun.
Awesome.
But even things like Lemmings on the Super Nintendo, I really enjoyed that because you obviously have these different Lemmings and you have to get them to the end point.
Yeah.
And each individual level has a different kind of puzzle that you have to solve. And if you do certain things or get them up to a certain height, they're just going to fall to their death. And then you end each level with a limited number of lemmings.
Yeah.
And so it's about, how do I get all of them or as many of them as possible?
Yeah.
Maybe you have to sacrifice 1 or 2 here to prompt something else that allows the others to go through.
Yeah.
So that's where I think for me, those early puzzle solving came into play.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your puzzle platformers and then games like Zelda with the dungeons.
Yeah. Lemmings. What a cool sounding game.
Man, Lemmings was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like a phone app now.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my mates plays it on her phone.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind when I was like, what? This was a Super Nintendo game and now it's on a phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's how far technology's come.
Yeah, and we were talking about how, some problems are, really small scale, but, some can be, really big. And like you're talking about figuring out which lemmings that you might need to sacrifice. That's big problem solving.
The life and death of lemmings. Yeah. This is big stuff.
Wow, you know what they say? You can't make an omelet without cracking a few lemmings.
I like it.
But it's cool because like that's sort of like the logical side of the problem solving. But I mean, so many games when I stop and think about it, basically like every game that I played as a kid had this element of problem solving. Did you ever play Worms World Party?
Yes.
Oh,
I loved Worms.
Yeah. So like I used to play Worms World Party on the computer.
Same.
Yeah.
Only ever at a friend's house.
Always at a friend's house. And so like with my brother, sometimes we play. So like we're both sitting with 2 chairs into the study with the computer, Worms World Party. And for me, like that was like so much fun because it was this creative problem solving. All your little, if you haven't played Worms World Party, basically you get like this little army of, there's no way I could describe this to make it sound as good as it was, but you get your worms, they get dropped on a map, and the worms all have different weapons at their disposal. They've got like homing missiles or bazookas or grenades, and you've got to take out the enemy worms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you destroy the environment as you go.
Yeah, literally like it's so cool. And the environment, like the different maps and like your start points for the worms will change. Different weapon drops can come down from the sky. You can get different things like the holy hand grenade or the sheep. You used to throw the sheep bomb. You remember the sheep bomb?
Sheep bomb. One of my favorites was like a donkey or a jackass statue, and it would fall all the way through the map and just like completely destroy all the environment underneath it.
Yeah,
and that was like super OP from memory. Like you would just
OP.
just drop it on them and just wipe them, and I loved it. And it would always be like, that was a great time. I'm pretty sure that was World Party. It was either Armageddon or World Party.
Yeah. But then also other things you would have like girders, or you could like a blowtorch, like burrow your way through the map. But yeah, that was all about like finding creative solutions to beat your foe, and it always changed. And the wind as well, like the wind direction would change. So that was always about, like what are the problem here that I'm trying to solve is like I got to defeat the foes. But it's always changing. You got to be really creative. It's really fun. And yeah, that was one of those ones for me that's like it's just such a cool like creative problem solving space.
It's really interesting because, as you said, all games involve some form of problem solving, but there are so many different genres of games.
Yeah.
Like you have these traditional puzzle games, but then you've also got those more creative thinking ones where you've got warfare related and you're thinking, okay, well, how can I be more creative about this?
Yeah.
But then you've also got core games that are just strategy games.
Yeah.
Like Age of Empires, which I was never a big Age of Empires guy.
Yeah.
But you're a very strategic person.
Oh, yeah.
So was that like your vibe?
It's funny because I sort of wonder, I'm like, I would say I'm a very strategic problem solver now. And I wonder, is that because of the Age of Empires 1 disc that I got in the Kellogg's Nutri-Grain packet all those years ago?
Throwback.
Yeah, I hope someone else, at least one person is listening. Please send an email, comment on something and tell us that you also got Age of Empires in a Nutri-Grain packet.
Oh, yeah. Kellogg's, if you're listening.
Oh, Kellogg's, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I reckon I still have the disc somewhere. I should go home and see if I've got it. But so much time playing Age of Empires. And that's all about, it's the slow strategy game. You build your empire. You think about, okay, how am I going to expand across the map and sort of build resources, build an army, also defend myself to eventually get to the end game of, defeating everyone else and sort of taking control of the land.
So you're not just thinking about one specific problem, you're thinking multiple steps ahead.
Yes.
Which is where I guess the core strategy comes in.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think I'm good at in video games, but in like board games and stuff like that, I really struggle.
Yeah.
Whereas that is one of your core strengths.
Yeah.
Like if we're playing Catan or any kind of like deck building game, I'm like, I'm cooked here.
Yeah.
Like you're already a million steps ahead.
Well, the good thing is now, you can blame Kellogg's.
True.
Yeah.
There you go. I take back my previous praise of Kellogg's. I shake my fist at you, Kellogg's. Although cornflakes were pretty dope when I was a little kid, so I'll give you that.
That's very true. Oh, okay, we can pivot and just talk about cereals for a while.
Yeah, this isn't now a cereal podcast. We've pivoted so many times. We have so many things that we are passionate about.
I think the biggest pivot will be when one day we are just talking about Diddy Kong racing while eating cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Saturday morning cartoons. Talk about Saturday morning Diddy Kong.
But yeah, and I think so much of that, that I guess that ability to be able to think so strategically and problem solve and think so far ahead. Because when I play a game, like a deck building game like a Dominion, I almost work backwards. I think I was like, how do I get to the end game?
Yeah.
Like how am I winning this? And then it's almost like strategically think backwards. And that's basically like with Age of Empires 1, it was like, okay, look at the map. And I sort of think, all right, how am I going to win this? Is it going to be like land or sea domination? Or is it going to be just like defense and slowly wearing them down, and then work backwards and think, okay, how am I going to get there? How do I build the resources? How do I build an army? How do I stay in the game? How do I use the environment?
So much more forethought. Whereas when I played Risk as a board game, I would think it doesn't matter how how advantageous it was or how much of a disadvantage it was.
Yep.
Wherever my friend Tom was, my mission was to destroy him and stop him from accomplishing anything he wanted to accomplish. So yeah, I think I was a little bit more narrow-minded when it came to my strategy games.
But I guess there's also different types. There's I'm just trying to think again. There's so many great. I mean, I played a good chunk of the shooting games. I played like classic Modern Warfare 2. Played a lot of that. Was never great at Modern Warfare 2. I used to play with friends, and like my kind of problem solving tactic for the team was, look, I'm not really going to like help this game by sort of basically beating people because they're better than me. I will just try and capture the flags. And I would always play with a friend, and at the end he'd be like, hey, look, you like killed one person and died 15 times, but you captured the most flags. Yeah. And I was like, that's my value to the team. But that's that kind of like fast pace decision making.
Yes.
That's where it's, you've got to react really, really quickly. You've got to kind of have an awareness of your environment and think, how can I use that to my, if you're running, it's like, oh, am I going left or am I going right? You don't have time to sort of, sit there and map it out and write down things. Now, if you're sitting there and like, okay, let me take some notes. First of all, I'm going to turn right, then I'm going to hide behind this car, and then I'm going to swap out this weapon. You're done. You're done.
You're done.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you sort of play many games like that where it was more sort of fast paced, or you're like making those quick decisions?
Oh, as a kid, probably not as much. Like I played a lot of turn-based stuff. So like all the old Pokemon games, Pokemon Red, Blue, Gold, Colosseum on the 64. No, Pokemon Stadium. Yeah, Colosseum was 64 as well, but it had Pokemon Stadium first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that I did was turn-based. I'm trying to think more multiplayer. Probably like kart races, I guess, like your Diddy Kongs and Mario Karts.
Yeah.
They were the ones where I had to be a little bit more reactive. What are people shooting? What items do the people in front or behind me have?
Yeah.
Obviously, when it comes to Mario Party games like Mario Party and Mario Kart, there's so much based on luck and just RNG in terms of like what items people are getting and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they would be the ones for me because, it really wasn't until I was much older that I started getting into shooters.
Yeah. And the topic of shooters, another one that this could have a whole episode. Have you ever heard of the Shooter Black on PS2?
I actually haven't.
Yeah. So I think it's one of the best shooting games ever made. It was so good. It was just so almost ahead of its time. My brother and I, we never bought it, but I reckon we borrowed it from Blockbuster Videos.
Yeah.
Talking about a throwback. I reckon we would have borrowed it about 15 or 20 times. We could have probably bought 3 copies of Black.
Yeah.
But like that was a great one where it was like, very, like fast, like, all that fast paced decision making, like you're adapting to like all enemies and like, do I go left, do I go right? Like which weapon do I use? But yeah, a lot of time playing that as well. But I think what I sort of have kind of like realized, like I think those games when we were younger is that like playing those games and solving those problems, it was such a good skill to be, practicing, right? It was almost like such a good axe to be sharpening. I think when you're young, like those, like having that kind of ability to solve problems and react to the world around you, especially as things change and you go into new environments and school and things like that. Yeah, so important.
Yeah, and I think as we kind of touched on before, it fosters things like independence, resilience, confidence. Yeah, the ability to face those problems head on and think about them in those slightly more creative ways by having practice, really. Like at the end of the day, these video games are practice for real world problem solving.
Yeah.
And every problem that you encounter within a game, you go, oh, I'll try this.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't work. Okay. What else can I try?
Yeah.
It's that we kind of touched on this a few episodes ago. It's a safe space where there are no negative consequences for failing.
Yeah.
And so you can fail and fail and fail and try as many different things as possible until you solve that problem.
Yes.
And so it's helping you develop that resilience, but also at the same time that critical thinking to help you be better at it in the future.
Yeah. And it's so cool because we spend a lot of time working in schools, but just look at schools now. If you go on any school website and you have a look at, their almost like the way they're advertising their curriculum, it's all about like fostering independent, critical, creative thinkers, which is great, as opposed to just teaching students content. It's all about, hey, we want them to be resilient. We want them to be able to, be critical, real world thinkers that can go out in the world and solve problems. And, I think games were, for me, like such a great learning tool for that in that safe space.
Oh, 100%.
Awesome.
Like I still remember as well, like there were certain games that my parents would actively encourage me to play because they knew, like, there was one, The Logical Journey of the Zumbinis.
Oh, the Zumbinis.
The Zumbinis. That was really fun.
Yeah.
But like, again, these were games based on helping you solve logic puzzles or maths problems or whatever.
Yep.
And because we were young enough, we were like, oh, this is a game. We weren't thinking, oh, my parents are trying to help me get better at maths. Yeah, or they're trying to help me get better at this. But it was helping us.
Yeah, it's like a different form of school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a fun
school.
Although I did enjoy school as well, but that's because I'm a nerd.
No, we're not saying kids at home, school good.
Yeah,
don't sit home and play games all day. Go school.
Well, that's the other thing, because are there times when games maybe weren't as good for us? Like we're talking about how, they're making us these, amazing problem solvers, but were there times when they maybe weren't as good for you when you were young?
Yeah, I mean, in that space of essentially solving problems and playing video games, but actually not serving us. I think it's a good point because we don't want to we want to, keep an eye on that. Hey, something's can't be bad. For me, I've got like lots of examples of this, but one would definitely be played a lot of time playing FIFA. I think the best parts of playing FIFA were the social elements of it.
100%.
But, there were times when I would be playing FIFA Ultimate Team, which is an online mode. I'd be doing it all weekend, and I'd be mostly losing because the people online were very, very good. My team wasn't necessarily as good as theirs, but I sort of kept playing. And so in a way, I'm sitting there, I'm still solving problems. I'm trying to think how to win, but I'm angry. I'm just getting increasingly more mad. I'm playing too much of it. I'm staying up a bit too late, and I'm not really getting any benefit here. I'm just sort of just like doing the same thing again and again, and it's I'm probably just getting angry and then yelling at the TV too much.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think playing too much is probably the biggest thing when it starts becoming a detriment to your either physical or mental health.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you obviously aren't thinking about your physical or mental health at all. You just are thinking game's good, game's fun.
Yep.
And so I think playing too much and then getting too passionate, like I can't remember what game it was, but it was on the Nintendo 64. And I remember my mum saying whenever my brother and I played that game, we would get really angry.
Yeah.
And when we turned the game off, we would be in a bad mood. We would be mad.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was because the game was challenging.
Yep.
Maybe too challenging for our skill level at the time.
Yep.
Or whether it was the content of the game or whether it was the competitiveness. But I wish I could remember what the game was, but I really vividly remember her being like, I really don't like it when you guys play that game. Like it puts you in a really foul mood.
Yeah. And that's a really good point to sort of be aware of, right? It's like with anything, like we're here talking about maybe the lesser spoken about benefits and the great parts of playing games, which are often hidden behind the bad things.
Yes.
And they're not given enough light, and we're trying to bring that to light. But like the bad things are there for a reason. Like, exactly. Are you playing too much, or you're getting aggressive, or it's not serving you?
And at the end of the day, it's about finding a balance.
Yes.
And as adults, generally speaking, we're much better at finding that balance.
Yes.
Whereas as kids, not so much. And that's why we obviously still have parents coaching us and teaching us how to do these things.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can kind of go, okay, I need to tap out. I need to step away from this or, whatever it might be.
Yeah. And now look at us. We're big boys. We play games and we manage our own game time.
That's it.
So it's cool to sort of think about, like, we are still playing games and we are still solving problems all the time within games. So it's cool to sort of think why are we doing it? Why do we keep doing it? Why are games so good at basically putting us in this space where we're just solving problems?
I think a huge part of it is because games are literally teaching you to be open to problem solving constantly.
Yeah.
Because as we said before, games are problems to be solved.
Yep.
At the end of the day, the story is there, however thin or thick that story might be.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you are ultimately putting in an input and receiving feedback on that input.
Yeah.
And that feedback might be, congratulations, you can keep walking in this direction, or congratulations, you've beaten this boss. You may go to the next level or whatever it might be. But it might also be like, meh, wrong, try that again. Meh, you died, you lost a life. You are constantly inputting something and receiving instantaneous feedback. And so it's teaching you to always be open to that and to look at problems as objectively as possible and think about all the different ways that you can solve them. And then you just do all the different things until the right thing happens.
Yeah, it's cool because I think that's a thing that people in general, I know I have in the past and still do at times, we struggle to be in that open mindset in real life. I think, like, when an obstacle happens, it's very hard to be open to, like, okay, this is like, now I'm open to trying to solve this and work a way around this, as opposed to sort of closing off or like not wanting to deal with it.
We kind of talked about that in our failure episode.
Yeah.
Like how games teach us to be more resilient when it comes to failure, and being like, well, why don't we in the future view these problems in the real world as respawn points? That was a huge discussion that we had.
So cool. And kind of fun to think that, like, when we're playing games and we're solving these problems, like you're saying, we're looking at it objectively. Whereas I think sometimes in real life you can, I don't know, for example, let's say that I one thing that I used to do way too much, it was be kind of harsh on myself or critical on myself. I'd be like, oh, like you like you can't solve this. You know, you're not good enough to solve this, or like you're not smart enough to solve this. And so it was almost like I was blaming the system, right? Like I was a system, as opposed to being like, hey, like, you can solve this, it's fine. And that's where games, it's rare that we sit there and we blame the game. We're not sitting there being like, oh, game, like you're ridiculous. We look and we're like, oh no, I'm here to solve the problem.
Yeah. And I do think at the same time, there are people that do blame the game and get very mad.
Oh, you bet.
You know, we've seen our fair share of videos of people having total freakouts, or, you know, people smashing a controller or a TV, or just getting completely out of control.
Absolutely.
But I think you're right in the sense that even when we might get really frustrated with something, we still know or believe that there is a solution.
Yeah.
Like we know that they haven't made a game that we can't win.
Yeah.
We know that there is a way to win.
Yeah.
We might be getting frustrated that we're hitting a wall.
Yeah.
But we know that they've built a solution into it.
Yep. Yeah. And games are fun, right? They're just
easy.
They're
100%.
so fun. And I love how one thing I love and one thing I've realized is that I love how games have almost tricked me into becoming a really good problem solver because like I just have fun playing them. And then I've realized, and then, you know, like that realization I had about 6 years ago, I was like, oh wow, I think I'm actually really good at solving problems and puzzles. And like games have in a way have like tricked me into learning that skill. And the coolest thing with that is it's any games that can do that. You don't need to be going in there thinking like I am like here to now solve puzzles and become an expert puzzle solver. I remember coming across this like awesome research article. I know last episode you spoke about how you hadn't played Portal and Portal 2. So I was keen to share this one.
One of my FOMO games.
Yeah. But there's this really cool research article which sort of looked at, it basically studied kind of young people, I think between the age of like 10 to 15, playing Portal versus playing Luminosity. Did you remember Luminosity, like the brain training games?
Oh, yes. As soon as you said brain training, I'm like, boom, yes, that clicked into place.
Yeah, and they basically looked at which system is going to be better at improving problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills. And what they found was Portal 2 was literally way better at this, which is really cool. That there's a game training system which it literally says it's brain training games. But the fact that Portal 2 literally made them objectively better puzzle solvers, I think is just really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's just like such great research that like it doesn't need to be the specific brain training thing. It's like, no, like if you view it as something fun and you're doing it, but you're just naturally solving problems in that space.
And
awesome.
that's it, you know, like, and at the same time, the people buying a brain training game are buying it to be like, this is a brain training game.
Yeah.
Whereas people buying a game like Portal aren't looking at that and thinking, this game is going to train my brain.
Yeah.
They're thinking, this is going to be a really fun game.
Yeah.
You know, that yes, there's going to be elements of strategy or whatever, but I'm invested in the story or the gameplay or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I think is such a cool thing when games can do that. And like I think there's this like really interesting sort of like bleed over that you can get, and that I've begun to, as I become more aware of it, I'm sort of noticing how this almost like gameful mindset is sometimes translating. I had this example of when I was playing when I started playing Baldur's Gate, right?
Yeah,
and it's kind of funny because it's an example of how my kind of game mindset and problem solving mindset translated to the real world, but it's an example about me playing games. So when I started playing Baldur's Gate, this was the strategy, right? This was the strategy problem solving mindset coming in. I had this clear idea that I was like, I want to make a character who is exactly like my D&D character.
Yeah.
Like this super badass, lightweight, fist fighting monk who, you know, he's a bit of a glass cannon. You know, he can't take that much damage, but like one or two hits and he'll get you. And so I had this idea. And so I essentially like mapped out this whole strategy, like how am I going to build this character? And I actually wrote it down. I sort of came up with this like step-by-step plan. I'm like, these are the things that I need. These are the skills that I want in the game. This is what I got to look out for. And I had so much fun, essentially so much fun coming up with this strategy first and foremost, but then just had an absolute blast and enjoy the game so much enacting it. Because I'd never had any of those like banging head against the wall moments in the game, because it was all like, this is my path and like, this is my strategy. And I kind of like, I know how I'm going to get there. So cool. Loved it.
Yeah,
loved
that's
it.
sick.
Yeah.
I was thinking in a slightly different way, but there's a game, I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was one of my favorite games that I played last year. Again, this is a bit of a patient gamer moment.
Yeah.
But you play, I'm pretty sure it's just called Tunic.
Oh, Tunic.
Yeah, and you play as this fox.
I played Tunic.
Dude, I friggin' love that game.
We never talked about
I
Tunic.
have no idea.
Well, Tunic's amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful music too.
Oh,
it's so cool.
visually stunning. The art style was
so
amazing.
Cool.
I loved it because it gave me feelings of old school Zelda.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the thing I loved the most about it was that it literally got me to pull out a physical, real world notebook.
Oh, amazing.
And because there's that big puzzle on the top of the mountain.
Yes.
And you realize that as you go through in the video game, it has a game manual.
Yep.
But the game manual is designed like old school game manuals you would get when you got an original Game Boy game, Super Nintendo game. Like they stopped putting video game manuals in probably around the PS3, Xbox 360 era, I think.
Yep.
And so it was cool having that in game, but each page of that would have a little clue about this end puzzle. And so when you started identifying that, I would write them down and I literally mapped everything out in this notepad.
Awesome.
And so that for me, I loved that feeling of here's a really big puzzle to solve.
Yeah.
And I'm solving it in tiny little minute bits as I unlock pages of this notebook.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really, really friggin' love that game, man. I can't believe we haven't talked about it before.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It was one of those ones where I was like, I do not want to go online and try and solve any, like, I need to solve this puzzle by myself.
Yeah.
Like, there's no cheats here. I'm not going online. I'm doing this old school.
Yeah.
And that feeling of physically writing things down just made you feel so much smarter and more accomplished when you did solve that puzzle.
Yeah. It's like you've got this great sense of sort of self-efficacy. You're like, I've mapped this out. And I love that. That's so cool.
And so I think right now we're focusing on so many positive elements of puzzle solving.
Yeah.
What I guess I want to look at is when games don't help us problem solve. Like you were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and how that's kind of translated into your real world problem solving.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that we don't want people to take away from this is that you don't want to over optimize your life. Like your life is not something to be min-maxed.
Yeah.
Like go out, live your life.
Yeah.
Obviously take this problem solving stuff with you, but you don't want to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think another negative element of problem solving in games is sometimes the problem is really obvious and you get stuck in a frustration loop.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by a frustration loop, a great example, one of our listeners commented on our Instagram post from the other week talking about when failing was really rewarding for them or became fun for them.
Yep.
And you had mentioned Trouble with the Trolley in Spyro, Ripto's Rage. And she had mentioned the Great Master Challenge in Astrobot.
Yeah.
And I can vouch for that because you start and end. There's no save points. Like a lot of the time in certain levels, if you get to a certain point, it's like, cool, you've hit a checkpoint. If you die from this point, you'll just go back to the checkpoint.
Yep.
Because it's the Great Master Challenge, it's the final challenge level. You have to have a seamless run.
Yep.
You cannot stuff up. And so you fail and you get frustrated.
Yep.
And so because you're a little frustrated, you're like, okay, I know why I stuffed up. I know what I have to do next.
Yeah.
But then you go, and because you're a little bit more frustrated, you are a little bit more impulsive. And so you might take a risk that you shouldn't have taken. Maybe you should have just waited for that enemy to do its next loop before you moved on.
Yeah.
And so then you die again, and then you get more frustrated. And so that frustration loop continually impacting your next attempts until you become more emotional and reactive. And for a lot of people, especially kids that don't know how to process their emotions as effectively, that's when they're going to throw controls and throw a tantrum or whatever it might be. For me, that master challenge in Astrobot, I kept getting to a certain point and I was like, I need to walk away from this.
Yeah.
And I took a few days off playing the game and I came back, and I think on my second or third attempt, I got it.
Yeah.
And it literally just took me walking away and taking a break.
Yeah.
Because I think, that frustration loop overwhelmed my ability to keep my cool and actually solve the problem.
Yeah, I love that. Like frustration. I love that term, frustration loop. That's really cool. And now that you say that, when I think about that example I gave with FIFA, literal frustration loop.
Yeah.
I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just getting angrier and angrier. You know, I'm not solving any problems at all. I'm not having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the final thing to touch on, which we don't need to go into too much detail, but applying game logic where it doesn't belong, like relationships.
Yeah.
You do not want to try and gaslight your partner or min-max your relationship or, over-optimize it or come in with that lens. That's not something we're advocating for in any way.
Yeah, don't go to your partner and be like, I built you a 20-step plan on how you can become a badass fist-fighting monk.
Yeah.
So here, don't do that.
And from my own lived experience, trying to teach someone how to correctly stack a dishwasher very rarely goes well for you, even though you know that from years of playing Tetris and Pokemon Puzzle Master League and all of these games, even though you know it's the most effective way, just don't. Just don't. I promise you, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Or let's say you're having a really tricky time with your boss at work. Don't put on the Elden Ring soundtrack and pull out and pull out your favorite weapon and chug a potion. That's not how you get past a tricky situation in the office.
No, there are other ways to handle it.
There are boss fights and there are boss fights.
I like it. But I think with that being said, obviously there are times when games don't help, but it is important to have a gameful mindset when problem solving. It can also be beneficial as well. Because we know that when we're playing a game that it makes us feel good. And we've talked about how playing some of these games make us feel like a better problem solver.
Yep.
Me literally talking about Tunic, that made me feel like a friggin' genius.
Yeah. And that is awesome, because I think one of the things that I really want people to take from this, and this is this feeling that I have, and there's this really cool research now which basically says that, we'll link this article, but it's if in your head you know that playing a game is a good thing for you. So if you're sitting there and you know in your head that, hey, like me playing a game, it probably just makes me a little bit of a better problem solver. Just knowing that, you're more likely to take away the benefits from it. So just like having that in the mind to be like, hey, like I'm having so much fun and this is a good thing for me. That's just a really cool, great gameful mindset to have.
Yeah. And it kind of ties into the psychological theories of like growth mindset and stuff like that as well, because you go, I know that this has helped me. I know that I'm going to be better at doing this in the future.
Yeah. And then I guess another thing you can again, it's like when you can try and like take that game approach out into the real world. Like we said, not all the time, but just that general premise of if there are obstacles, that's okay. I know that I can get around this. I've done this so many times before. I'm a good strategic planner. I can make fast decisions. I'm logical. So just like having that, arm yourself with that knowledge that you're like, hey, all these games that I've played, they've made me good at this. I got this.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
And another way about talking about building relationships, like, you're facing a problem. Can you make that problem not necessarily more fun like you would in a game, but can you make that problem more easy for yourself by getting friends or family involved to help you get through that problem?
Yeah. Gather your allies.
Yeah. I like it.
But yeah, I mean, I just, I hope this has come through, but I obviously I love games, but now like being aware now that games have made me such a good problem solver, it just makes me appreciate them so much more. It's so cool for me to be able to sit here and think that that time I spent playing Cool Borders 3, it wasn't just like a fun thing to do as a kid. It's probably helped me.
Yeah.
It's just this lovely, I think it's just like this lovely appreciation to have.
Well, and that's because you want to know that the time that you have spent playing a game has been valuable to you as well.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about that in the previous episode surrounding FOMO. You want to know that your time is precious.
Yeah.
And you want to know that by spending that time on something, that you have gained something back from that.
Yeah.
And it's totally okay for the thing that you've gained back from that to just be some relaxation and some fun.
Absolutely.
But it's also awesome to be able to identify that a game hasn't necessarily just been entertaining. It's also helped in a way that you can now actively tackle or think about things.
Yeah. Which is, it's so nice. And to be able to sit here and think like a skill, if you were to ask me like, what are my top skills and qualities, I would say I'm a great problem solver. And it's just, I think it's this beautiful thing to sit here and realize that, it's games that have really helped me with that.
I love it. Any final words before we sign off?
Oh, get out there and solve some puzzles.
I like it. Play with purpose.
Ooh, yeah. Very good.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Law and Order podcast. We'll be back again next week for another episode. Boy.